What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Drug, and welcome back to another and final preview video for the Six Nations 2022. This is, of course, where we chuck on a game of Rugby 22 in the background of the teams who are going to be playing on the weekend. And then over the top, we talk about the official teams that have been announced that are going to be playing in this game, going through all the players, who we think is going to do well, who we think might do badly, and finally giving a score prediction for this game. What a final game to end off on. This will be, of course, the potential Grand Slam decider for the Six Nations. It's France versus England. There's a lot to talk about, so let's get this game kicked off and underway. Alrighty, Entermac will get us kicked off. We are still playing on Legend difficulty. Now, the last game with Ireland, Scotland didn't go as well, so we'll hopefully try and pick up the pace a little bit with France in this game. So, France versus England, set to be a massive game. All the French supporters will be supporting France, all the English supporters will be supporting England, all the Ireland supporters are going to be supporting England, and as a neutral I just get to sit there and enjoy what will hopefully be a superb game of rugby to decide the outcome of the Six Nations, whether it be a Grand Slam or not. So, who should we talk about first? As we see, Gaël Ficou already scoring a try. This is going much better than the last game for me. Let's talk about France first of all, because France last week went up against Wales, and in all honesty, I think had their worst performance of the Six Nations against Wales, which was surprising, because Wales, for me, so far, even as a Wales supporter, I've been finding them a bit hit or miss going through this tournament. But last week, Wales really sort of stepped it up. And even though they came away with a loss, they arguably deserved to win that game. They just couldn't finish it out. The French defence was certainly managing to just about manage to hold out. But there were signs of cracks beginning to come in. A lot of top players not really being that impactful on the game. We weren't seeing the likes of Dupont and all these sorts of players really making a huge amount of impact in this game. And France have got a lot to work on. Much different from playing at home in France is playing away in Wales. But luckily this week they are travelling back over to the Stade de France to be able to play this England team. I think if this game was being played in Twickenham, you might be seeing a bit of a closer game like we saw with England-Ireland last week. So France are going to need to gel together. They're going to need to just consolidate this team, go in, forget the idea of what the game represents in terms of the Six Nations, and just get on with the game and come away with a win. That's all that matters now for them in this game. So talking about the team that's going to be going in for this game, starting off with this front row. This is a front row we will have seen a whole bunch through this tournament so far. Cyril Bay starting off in this loose head position, Julien Marchand in the hooker position, and Antonio in that tight end. Now this is the team that they've been going for, and we're pretty much going to be seeing this as we go across the board. We're going to be seeing a bunch of players that a lot of you will already know, because France are slowly beginning to get this 1 to 15 pretty down, in all honesty, and they're performing well week in, week out. Consistency is good, so there's nothing wrong with that. Starting in the lock positions, Woki is going to be in that number 4 shirt, and Valemse in that 5 shirt, as we've been seeing through this tournament. The line-outs last week weren't necessarily working as well for them. I think Will Rowlands had a very good game last week, was really getting himself involved with that French line-out, stopping a bunch of them being able to launch from that platform, and I think it was a bit of a struggle for them. Now England have a lot of good jumpers as well. It's going to be something France will have to be on the lookout for. In the back row, Cross comes in that number 6 shirt, Gelange in the 7 shirt, and Gregory Aldrit in that 8 shirt. I think both Aldrit and Gelange have had a really good tournament between them both, actually. Just every week they're putting in really good stints. I think they're playing really good rugby. Gelange seems to be coming away with those tries more often than not, even though he's not really doing a lot to earn the try himself. He's certainly getting himself over the whitewash, which is all that matters in the end. As a 1 to 8, not a great deal more to talk about than what we've spoken about every week so far, to be honest. They're performing well, the scrimmage is going well. They'll want to tighten up that lineup a little bit, especially seeing as the fact that England were getting involved with the Ireland lineout quite a lot last week. As we see, Villiers apparently not managing to put down the ball in the background there. I don't know how that was possible. Hopefully we won't be seeing a lot of that on the weekend. I think they'll be looking forward to going through this, especially with knowing how physical England like involving their forwards a lot, especially knowing they're going to be missing a couple of their starting forwards as well. France will certainly be looking to take the game to them. In terms of the backs then, Dupont and Entermac will retain that half-back partnership, Dupont remaining as the captain. I was actually at the France-Wales game last week, so I didn't necessarily get to see that much of how much Dupont was actually talking to the referee. I haven't actually gone back and looked at it, from a video standpoint, to actually go and look at that game. Maybe he was talking a lot. I didn't see a great deal of conversation happen between him and the ref watching live, but he does actually do quite well as a captain, to be fair. He is leading from the front most games You're watching him break through the tackles, you're making him make good meters, getting him for a try here and there. You know, that's all you really need from your captain just to keep the rest of the team pushing forwards. In terms of the centres, Jonathan Dante and Ficou remaining in that centre partnership now. Last week, I thought both of them played absolutely brilliantly. Both of them could have been in my team of the week. Jonathan Dante was. I thought he had a superb defensive game. And Gaël Ficou, also good in defence, but also good in attack. And I just slightly leaned towards Chris Harris because I thought he had a really good game for Scotland last week. But both of these lads know each other inside out now. They both know what they both bring. I've been very impressed with the French defence. I mean, it's one thing as soon as they've had Sean Edwards going now, the French defence has stepped up massively going ahead in towards this game. So it's something you'll be wanting to look at now is this centre partnership. Now, the England centre partnership isn't actually as gelled as this one, I think, as we've seen through the tournament so far. They had a good game last week, but this centre partnership in terms of attack is very good going forwards, but also defensively is actually looking solid. You're not really seeing a lot of players get through this gap. And it's one of the main areas that England like to target is to actually try and break through the centre channels. Now, two strong defenders, I think it's going to be a really, really nice move for them. And then in the back three, we have Villiers retaining his left wing, Damien Penaud retaining the right wing, and Jaminet in that fullback position. In fact, I might be lying. I'm trying to remember if Penaud actually played last week. I feel like Penaud actually missed out. I think he had certain viruses we can't mention for copyright reasons. We don't want to get flagged down. So, you know, this is a pretty standard 1 to 15. And, you know, standard is by all means a high standard. This France team is doing very well across the board. Villiers still looking to potentially be the top try scorer of the tournament. If he maybe gets a couple tries in here just to seal that one out. Jaminet's kicking certainly improved against Wales. He didn't really get a lot of opportunities because the Wales discipline was far better in that game. But he'll be wanting to work on those kicks. You know, he offers something really nice to have both Ntamack and Jaminet as kickers. I think it works really well. And then Damien Penaud coming back in. You know, I think it's nice to have him back in for this final game just to bring his speed, his high ball. You know, this is going to be something that's going to come into this game. England love that high ball retention as well. So putting someone like Penaud on, very good in the air, gives you very different tactics to go for. Villiers, much quicker on the ground, got the nice step. And then you've got Penaud to get those up and unders just to put more pressure on, chase the ball up. I think it'll work really well for them. And on to the finishers for this French team. Starting off in this front row, Malvaca in that 16 shirt, Gross coming in on the 17 shirt, and Mohamed Haas on the 18 shirt. This is like we've seen every week. I'm going to keep repeating this now. We're seeing this week in, week out. This is what they love to do. Now, this replacement front throw actually comes on relatively early. They do sort of stagnate it a bit, which is quite weird. They don't actually bring on the front row as a unit. They tend to bring Antonio off first. They might bring Cyril Bay and Julien Marchand off later. Malvaca certainly had quite a nice impact on the Wales game, actually, now that I think about it. He got a bit of ball in hand, which is nice. Yeah, I think they'll do well in that second half, especially with some of the pressures that England scrum was put under. They've shown in that Ireland game that the England scrum is absolutely up for this as a competition, so they need to be strong in that one. In terms of the replacement forward for the rest of the team, Taufifenua comes back in, joining Damien Penaud back in there now as well. Flamand coming in on that 20 shirt, and Dylan Cretin in that 20 shirt, who no doubt will come on in that 6 shirt at some point in that second half. Now, interesting point to note here will be the 6-2 split on the bench, which shows to me there's not going to be a lot of fancy play from this French team unless England really give them a big opening. You're probably going to be seeing this French team use their forwards for 70 minutes of this game will be forwards based. Bring on those replacement 6 forwards at some point in that second half as well, just to bolster the team back up. Don't let England have the lineouts. Don't let England have the scrums. All France need to do is get across that final whistle in the lead, and that's all that matters to them. I think this is the right call, to be honest. I think having the 6 forwards on is a very, very good move. And then in terms of the replacement backs, we have Luku and Thomas Ramos. So, you know, again, we haven't seen a lot of Ramos, and he's a very good player, and we just don't really get to see him, to be honest. Jaminet is staying on for a full 74, 75 minutes, week in, week out, so I'm not sure if we'll get to see a lot of Ramos in this game. Luku does tend to come on at weird intervals. Again, last week I felt like, although Damien Dupont wasn't actually making necessarily an enormous impact on the game, I certainly thought it was strange that he came off when he did. I did think maybe he would have stayed on a little bit longer, but Luku came on and added his own injection of pace, which is always nice to see. But as a 1 to 23, this French squad is looking good. This French squad looks to me like it could be a Grand Slam winning French team. And to be fair, there's not a lot of changes in this team. There might not be 0 changes, actually. from this team to what played in the first round of the tournament, which is a bit of a testament to the fitness and the ability to come back from injury in this French team. Really, really nice to see. So as we near ourselves towards half-time, we need to move on to talk about the England team. Now, England last week played Ireland, and it was a very weird sort of game. We had Charlie Ewels going off with a red card after 82 seconds, and they had to play well over an hour. It was probably well over 80 minutes by the time you have all the stop-start with the whistle blows and what have you. And, they did really well, in all honesty. As much as I know certain people don't like the English rugby team, you've got to say they had to play out of their skin in that game. And they even held it well into the 70th minute in order to actually feel like England could still have won that game. I was even tempted at halftime to put a bet on England to win because the odds were so fun. I thought they, you know what, they genuinely look impassioned. They genuinely looked angry about the red card decision. Jack Knoll, I thought, played very well coming in, filling in that scrum as well, which I thought was really, shows off a great deal of talent in this team that they can just fill in all these different positions. I thought they ran the game well and actually took charge of the game against a strong Ireland team, which is not, an easy thing to do. So if they come in with that same energy, they come in against this French team with a full 15-man squad, there's no reason England can't look to win this game. And I think this is going to be a great final game for Super Saturday. I can't wait for this one. I'm going to enjoy every second of this game, hopefully, and it should be a good one. So let's have a look at the team that England have announced to play in this game. Starting out with this front row, Ellis Genge, Jamie George and Will Stewart. Now, a couple of switches around. England still not quite got this front row set. There has still seems to be quite a lot of swapping between Sinclair and Will Stewart. And to be honest, I feel like I prefer Will Stewart on. I think maybe a lot of people would side with Sinclair, but I just think Sinclair seems to have a bit more impact from the bench. I'm not seeing Will Stewart come on from the bench and change the game, whereas Sinclair can come on, fresh legs at the 60-minute marker, and will probably win you a penalty at a scrum, or give one away, depending what mood he's in that day. I think it'll work well. Genge and George both played phenomenally against that Ireland team. The defensive work, the tackle rates that they both had were huge. Ellis Genge got into my team of the week. Jamie George was certainly not far off getting in as well. So hopefully they can bring that same passion this week. On to the locks. Of course, no Charlie Ewels here. So we have Mauro Itoje and Ezekwesili coming back in now. Ezekwesili's not quite landed it for me yet. I still think Itoje's playing good rugby. Ezekwesili seems to be very 50-50 depending on what game it is. So hopefully he can settle into this game quite quickly so you won't be seeing too many penalties or too many handling errors from him. Still not perfectly set on him. But I think with Charlie Ewels out now with that red card, they're slowly beginning to run out of a few options in terms of that number 5 shirt. In the back row, a couple of switches around here. Courtney Lawes retaining that captaincy in that number 6 shirt. I thought, again, he played absolutely brilliantly last week. Talking of brilliance, did anyone see that 50-22 kick that just came from England then in the background in this game? That was another brilliant kick. Yeah, I thought Lawes did really well, and I absolutely think he probably deserves to be retaining his shirt for this game. In the 7 shirt, Sam Underhill coming in here. Now, Tom Curry did pick up a bit of a knock. Last game he came off very early, and Sam Underhill will be a good replacement there at the number 7 shirt. Personally, I prefer him at 6, but, with Courtney Lawes there, I do wonder maybe whether Courtney Lawes could have gone in at 5, moved Sam Underhill into 6, and actually found a different flanker. I'm sure England have a great depth of flankers. Maybe they could have gone for Simmons and Dornbrandt in a 6-8 like they had last week. I think there could have been potential other options there. Maybe rather than having Ezekwesili on, I think that might be a bit of a chink there. But then Sam Underhill is also a very, very good player. I think he'll be looking forward to this one. And then Sam Simmons, as I just mentioned, in that 8 shirt. Again, another good game for him. I think all of the England forwards last week played really, really well to try and get over that man down position that they were in. In terms of the fullbacks, the halfback partnerships, that's what I'm trying to think. I couldn't even think of the word then. Ben Youngs comes in that scrum half position, and Marcus Smith will retain that fly half position. So Ben Youngs coming in now. They want the experience. England know they need to try and get a win here. England are actually, technically, I read the other day, on for their worst ever points finish in the Six Nations. Bizarrely, even though I don't think they've played badly, if they lose this game, this will actually be like their lowest points scored or something. So it's going to be a big push here, and I'm sure Eddie Jones will probably know those sorts of stats as well, just to keep an eye on that, so they'll be wanting to have that sorted out. In terms of the centre partnership, Henry Slade and Joe Marchant will retain that 12-13 axis. Now, I questioned this last week, but both of them proved me a little bit wrong. I thought Joe Martin actually played very well in that 13 shirt, especially chasing some of those high balls, worked very well for that England team, put good pressure on that Ireland team, getting a couple of real nice hits on Keenan with the high ball. So, you know, if it works for them, it's working for them. I still feel it feels slightly out of sync with how I feel that team should work. I much prefer Henry Slade in that 13 shirt, but if Joe Martin's going to do the job, he's going to do the job. That's all good with me. And then in that final back three, Jack Nowell, of course, retaining that left wing. Absolutely deserved to. I mean, who needs flankers when you've got a winger that can fill in the scrum? Why not? Freddie Stewart's going to move to the right wing here, which is quite a big call. And then George Furbank's going to come in that fullback shirt. Now, I'm not sure if there's been injuries or some different mix-ups. Maybe Max Malin's just not been impressing. Freddie Stewart, I've never seen him play on the wing personally, but I assume with the speed and his counter-attacking runs that he tends to have from fullback, he will be absolutely perfectly fine playing on the wing. Again, I feel like maybe there was more wingers and you could have left Freddie Stewart in that fullback position. I think he's been a little bit quiet himself, so maybe he would have liked a bit more time there. I don't know. George Furbank, again, you know, good head on his shoulders, will hopefully just give decent background coverage there for that team. As a 1-15, you're certainly seeing the holes in the cheese. I'm trying to think of that holy cheese, can't think of the name off the top of my head, but you're certainly seeing where a couple of things maybe available for France to attack in this game, but hopefully if their defence holds up like it did against Ireland, they'll be pretty happy with that set of players that are coming into this team. And moving on to the substitutions just as we get towards the final 15 minutes of this game. In the background, starting off in this front row, Dolly coming in. There's a new name for me to keep a bit of an eye out for. Joe Marler and Kyle Sinclair. You know, that's an experienced front row coming on, bar probably Dolly, I guess. But Joe Marler and Sinclair certainly got a good number of caps between them. I think they'll probably be a nice reinforcement in that second half. Ollie Chesham and Dormrat will be filling out the rest of the forward pack there. Now, something to talk about here is the 6-2 split for France versus the 5-3 split for England. Now, England haven't got anything to lose in this game. They're already not going to be winning the Six Nations. They're not going to be winning a Grand Slam or anything in this one. Nothing to lose in this game. You might as well go all out attacking. And I think the 5-3 split's probably better for that. Have more backs. You can mix it up a bit. Harry Randall's got some great speed on. He's also on the bench here. And I think bringing him on in the second half when players are getting tired will actually be able to open up that game a bit more for them. I don't think that's a bad move. George Ford and Elliot Daly will also be there. Now, George Ford not necessarily the most attacking number 10, but, you know, he'll certainly come on just to get maybe some last-minute kicks if you need him to, maybe just to calm the team down if it's a close game. And then Elliot Daly's there for your long-range kicking right at the end of the game. If there's 2, 3, 1 points in the game, you need someone to come on and just finish it out for you. Elliot Daly's probably your boy to bring on right at the end. If a winger gets injured, he's got covered there. He's also comfortable playing in that centre partnership. He would also maybe go in with Slade in that 12-13 axis. He can also play on, you know, full-back position. Great coverage as Elliot Daly just as a player. It'll probably work really well for him. I'm not sure what just happened there in the background. The ball just got thrown like a million miles away. So, a 1-23, not necessarily the strongest England team, but I think it's still a team that can get in there and have a bit of a point to prove and try and show off a little bit. I have no idea what's happened to the game. We seem to have frozen. Yeah, right. Well, there we are, guys. What a time for a game to just break right at the end. It's the final preview video of of the Six Nations, and the game is frozen. Superb. Well, I'll keep talking. I have no idea what I'll do in the edit for this. But yeah, I think this England team's got a chance to win. There's no reason they can't win. They can absolutely come out full storm and just go full out attack and try and get some points. We've certainly seen France crumble under the pressure before of potentially being able to win a Six Nations and it's slipping away from them. So if the pressure gets to them and England are on full-on attack and get the dominance like we saw in that England-Ireland game, I don't think there's no reason England could look to win this one. So in terms of a score prediction, I think I'm still going to lean towards France personally. I think France at home with the same team they've been working through for this whole tournament and been winning games consistently. I think I'm going to lean towards France. It depends how that England team will show up. I think if England begin to get dishevelled in that first half, it actually might be quite a big score because France will start to run away with it. But it's whether or not they hold out the pressure. So I'm going to hold for a France win. And I'm going to say France to win by I'm going to say 9. I'm going to say 9 points for France to win. But of course, guys, I am but one man on the internet talking nonsense about rugby. So make sure you guys do drop down in the comment section your thoughts on the game, who you think's going to do well, who you think's going to do badly, and finally give your own score prediction, because I do enjoy having a look back through at everyone else's prediction after the game is over. We will, of course, be doing the Team of the Week next week after it's gone on, and then at some point I'll have to do a Team of the Tournament, which I'll look forward to doing, where hopefully my videos will actually work and not be broken in the background because my game capture decides to stop working. But I hope you've all enjoyed this game, guys. Hopefully you have enjoyed following the series along as the Six Nations have been going on. If you have, make sure to drop this video a like and subscribe to the channel just to keep up to date when all the latest videos come out, not just to do with rugby, but to do with all sorts of gaming videos and rugby videos. It is highly appreciated. I hope you've all enjoyed this one, guys, and are looking forward to a superb Super Saturday. I'll see you all next time, guys. Bye-bye.